What's up? What it do, what it don't, what it will, what it won't. It's another Friday, another opportunity to get together and record the experience known as the Ball Sports Talk. That's right, we're in the building again. We are officially in the month of May. They say April showers bring May flowers, and we have a flower of a show for you today. It is blooming, it is budding, it is energetic, it is vibrant, it is all the things you think of for the flowers that will be coming in May. It's a jewel that we have for you. You don't want to miss it. It is the 100 Men versus One Gorilla episode. And this is no slight at any particular person, but it is going to dig into a lot of sports, business, and entertainment because it is the Ball Hog Sports Talk where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We do it one way and one way only, rough, rugged, and raw. If you've never been a part of the experience, it is the Ball Hog Sports Talk, but where business, sports, and entertainment collide. I'll describe it to you like this. It's where businessmen get together to discuss sports in an entertaining fashion. I promise you don't want to miss this episode because it's 100 men versus one gorilla, and it is the Ball Hog Sports Talk. With no further ado, girls and boys, dogs and frogs, cats and rats, anything and everything in between, pour you a nice tall glass of something and get ready for the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Make sure that you like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone you know. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. You won't want to miss this one. So bring them on in because it's going to be 100 men versus one gorilla. Let's go.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ. A.K.A. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw, so come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go.
Let me just start off in this episode of 100 Men versus One Gorilla. I happen to be, at times, especially this time of the year, the one gorilla dealing with the 100 men called pollen is kicking my butt, baby. The allergies is, for those who are allergy sufferers, got us suffering. But I'm going to make it through like the gorilla, baby. I'm going to win this fight. I got to know, man, 100 men versus one gorilla, Big Flo, who you got winning it? Before we hop into sports, business, and entertainment, how dare we not deal with the elephant in the room, pun intended. But it's the gorilla in the room. 100 men, one gorilla. You decide who the 100 men are, who wins, and why before we hop into sports, business, and entertainment. I got to know what you're saying.
Well, I mean, the analogy that you put forward, I'll choose pollen every time. I'll choose pollen every time because I'm suffering right now myself. If I sound a little nasally and all that stuff, I have so many products inside of me right now trying to clear up this little big-ass nose I have of the dust mites that I'm allergic to. But I'll go there. But if we're really talking about the debate, first of all, man, what's good? What's good?
What's good, my brother? You know it is. I should have introduced you the right way.
No, you shouldn't have. Everybody knows who I'm at.
It's the man, the myth, the legend. Thou shalt be intergalactically known and respected as. When you say it, he's from the middle.
All of them.
So you better say it with some reverence, some respect in your voice, and say it from your diaphragm because he's been known to backhand, not close hand. He's been known to check somebody.
Don't talk about my violent streak because they're going to try to put me on the front lines of this gorilla fight. I don't want to go first.
You're not going first if you go.
I will be of the last 10 people. That way, if I turn and run, I don't have that many people that can say that they saw me run away.
What wave you're on is dependent on the lottery. It's a lottery.
It's a lottery way. So, look, I think this debate, I thought a lot about it. And here's the problem. I have heard people talk about the endurance of the gorilla, but it's how do you make – what's the makeup of these guys? So the first 20 people, the only way there's a chance, I need some meth heads and some hillbillies. You know those dudes that you see on the videos barefoot that go and catch a raccoon in the backyard barehanded? No
Yep.
problem with teeth showing, or the ones that catch a bobcat by the tail. Those I need. Give me about 15 of those. I don't want to mess my numbers. About 15 guys like that. But I need the first 10 to be meth heads. And if you are a meth head and a hillbilly, you're
You're
an
saying we
all-star.
got a chance. It depends on who
I
the
don't
100
think
men
there's
are.
a chance, but I'm trying to build an offense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's much of a chance. But the problem is the fear. Like I watch, for some reason I had the algorithm where it's always showing like a lion, and then there's all these hyenas trying to attack the lion. It'd be like 6 or 7 hyenas trying to get the lion. And a lion will destroy a hyena, but it shouldn't be able to destroy 2 or 3 or 4 of them. The problem is, who wants to sacrifice themselves for the mission?
My
Where's
man
the
AR
smoke?
in the building. I appreciate the comments. Y'all keep the comments coming. Who's gonna win? 100 men versus 1 gorilla. My man AR says 100 men, but those first 20, 30 gonna meet. Sweet.
But hear me out. My son brought this to me. He was the first one to bring this to me. And if you can get a 25, 30, I'll say Ahmad has a point, that just don't want to live. Some suicidal people, right?
I think they gotta be already in jail for life.
They gotta be meth heads. They gotta be somebody who's strung out on something that just has a thing that could do it. And some
They're incarcerated. They got a life sentence, so they're gonna die anyway. It's gotta be something like that.
It got something really strange, right? That's the only way you can get started. And then you can maybe tire them out. But here's the problem I have, is that just on sheer strength alone, 100 men should be able to destroy a gorilla. But the problem is, you can't get your arms, like, a gorilla has 10 times the strength of a human, is what they're saying, right? 10 times, 10x. So realistically, you need 10 people on one arm, 10 people on another arm, 10 people on a leg. There's not enough room to work together. You know what I mean? You see a lot of times when people are trying to get jumped or something in some sort of a group fight, and people have a hard time three on one, the 3 of the people engaging at the same time. When I watch the tiger fight the hyenas, they should just converge on the tiger and destroy him. Or sorry, the lion.
But you're dealing with 100 men, so you can create a strategy. We do war strategy.
Yeah, I'm just saying. You look at a hyena who's every day is a fight. Their fight. There's a life and death happens every day in the wild, and they have a hard time attacking a tiger or a lion. Sorry, 7 in a row, and they hunt in packs. We don't know what we're doing. And we don't want that type of smoke. Nobody really wants to have that type.
Everybody has spent the last 3 days thinking about this ad nauseum. We're going to employ war generals. They're going to be people that create strategies around this. We're going to come up with precise angles of how to attack the gorilla. Do we have a chance, man? You haven't answered. Can we win this? Yes.
So
or no?
I'm going to say, if victory is that the gorilla are dead or the 100 are dead, I'm going to say it's going to be some sort of a draw, because eventually the gorilla is just going to be run up. He's going to run up out of there. There's going to be some dead humans. The gorilla is going to be unfazed, and he's just going to take off. Because if he gets tired, he's going to leave, and there's nothing you're going to do to stop him. But I don't have a scenario where the gorilla's dead and we're using bare hands. And
No. So
I can't imagine a scenario where it ends well. And there's definitely not going to be enough of progress for someone to say, let me build my squad and we're going to try this. I don't see that. But you know what though? In today's the slap games, I saw this new game called Run It Straight they're doing in Australia, where they just run full speed into each other. I'm hoping that these UFC folks or one of these barbaric ass companies can come up with this fight. I don't believe in cruelty to animals, but we can let it go just this one time. 100 men.
The animal rights people gonna go crazy on you because they are endangered. Silverbacks are endangered.
I know, but then you know what? This silverback's gonna be fine. So I think we got to find some 100 humans that are not on the endangered list that are willing to lay it on the line for the squad.
Because the silverbacks are critically endangered, and because this is a great what if, it is the perfect topic for some sports business and entertainment. Keep them coming. Let me know if you guys think the 100 men have a chance or the 1 gorilla is going to win every single time, no matter who the 100 people are, 100 men are. You know what? It's crazy. I hang out with some really dope sisters, right? That, professionally, we have these conversations about gender equity. I ain't heard no woman whatsoever raise their hand and say, why it's got to be 100 men and not 100 women? Anyway,
chivalry is not completely there.
I digress. Come on, ladies. Why y'all should be fighting for this?
Get some of this smoke.
Sit back. We got this. 100 women versus one gorilla. How about that? Let's change it.
100 women versus chimpanzee. What do we do there? What
we gonna do here? But I will say this: it sets us up for a great week of topical sports business entertainment. Because while all of us that rush to social media have discussed this circular argument about whether or not 100 men have a legitimate shot versus one gorilla, what happened simultaneously has been amazing. Mm-hmm. And stick with us for this, because we watched an NFL draft where, dare I say, there have been allegations of collusion, where the proverbial 100 men got together, owners and GMs and personnel people. They got together and they colluded and they figured out a way to attack and I'm going to be careful with this. The gorilla here is the personality. The gorilla here is the concept, the bravado. But they made sure to take down that gorilla. I'm going to wait on that. I want to deal with another situation first, because I think it's just amazing to see a situation like this where the Indiana Pacers defeat an injured. We wish Dame Time nothing but the best in his recovery of tearing his Achilles.
That hurt.
They beat an injured Milwaukee Bucks team. I would argue they were injured as soon as they hired Doc Rivers. That's for another show. But undeniably injured when one of their two-headed monster in terms of their stardom, Dame Lillard, goes down. Indiana beats them. And then all hell breaks loose. Tyrese Haliburton's dad decides to leave his courtside seat, go onto the court, and we have this stare down that I'll do it a disservice and I'll do it a misjustice by just talking about it. We have to see it, but it's going to be our first example of, stick with us. You know how we do with our topics. Our first example of 100 men versus one gorilla. And then we're going to break this down, because as players, I argue there's supposed to be some safe places as a professional athlete. On the court, as an NBA player, after a game, I would argue it should be one of the safe places, safe spaces. All right? The Malice in the Palace was so bothersome because the melee went into what should be the fans' safe space up in the stands. So we're going to get in and out of this one. Then we're going to hop to Shedeur. But I say we should at least talk about Haliburton's dad, who has now been banned for the remainder of playoffs. But no further ado, let's check this out. Because Haliburton's dad had his own account for what happened. The NBA obviously disagreed with banning him. But check this out.
The father of Tyrese Haliburton, John Haliburton of Oshkosh, is celebrating the Pacers knocking the Milwaukee Bucks out of the playoffs for the second straight year. But what happened after the game with his confrontation with Giannis is making national headlines. Now, John will be the first to tell you that he should not have been on the court, but he insists that he never cursed at Giannis and just got caught up in a proud father moment.
When I turned, it might have seemed like I was looking at him, but I really wasn't. I was looking through him. That's right. How I was in the moment. I know it looked like we were looking, like I was staring him down, but it wasn't like that. It was in the moment, as if I was looking right through him. And yes, I had the banner in my hand going, and I was yelling, yay, yay, yay. Giannis never said anything to me. I never said anything to Giannis. There was no back and forth.
But that changed when Giannis went face-to-face with John near his baseline seats a few moments later.
He grabbed my hands. He put his forehead on my forehead, and he said, don't disrespect me. Don't effing disrespect me. Okay? And I said to him, I was not trying to disrespect you, which I wasn't. I'm telling you, I did not do that on purpose. I really did not. And then I said to him, I love you. He said back to me, I love you. We patted chest. He gave us a thumbs up and he walked away.
John Haliburton also told me that the NBA has contacted him about the incident and he will accept any sort of punishment that may come his way.
Let's hop in, man. So when you see that and the senior Haliburton's account of what happened is probably a little off from what you think you saw, but let's take it for face value. In this concept of 101 gorilla, the reason I bring it up here is because he had, you watch that and he's got the entire Indiana Pacers crowd, their entire franchise, all celebrating, which they should be because they move on to the next round. There's an elimination game where they sent Milwaukee home. Milwaukee's won a championship. Indiana's been trying to reclaim some of the prominence that they had during the Reggie Miller years, and it has escaped them largely. But now they've got some superstars. They've got some momentum. They are playing very well in these playoffs. But you look at this scene, and when I say gorilla, like I'm being very careful. I know that has some racist connotations.
If you let it, but you know what? If you let it, we're not going to let it.
If you let it, but I want to make sure I'm clear that I don't let it. When we are going to be saying throughout this show, right? The 100 men versus one gorilla. We're thinking of a silverback, a powerful force, something that needs to be overcome, something with so much power. It needs to be revered because of its unbelievable strength. I look at the Greek Freak as a player, top 5 player in the NBA, and here Indiana Pacers are the proverbial situation where they have now overcome this powerful force. Here's my challenge. The NBA talks a good game, but not only should senior Haliburton not have access to the court, but no one should have that much access to the court. Luckily, he was just donning a towel, talking trash, and it was in good fun. But in today's age of crazy fans, my challenge really is with the NBA, putting both of them in that situation, but primarily the Greek Freak in that situation where a fan is that close to him. Now, them going forehead to forehead to have a little fun with it, that's how I envision that one gorilla looking face to face with the first dummy that goes in that damn holding space with that gorilla. Forehead to forehead, like, man, I'm about to tear you up. What did you think about, you looked at this scene and we laugh about it now. You hear Mr. Haliburton trying to put some artistic creativity on what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Neither here nor there if you want to take his account. The NBA messed up by continuing to have a situation where players and fans are in spaces, dare I say, in enclosures where they should not be together, like on the court.
You say that they should have glass like hockey? Get you up off the court?
Or do a better job of, especially in a closeout game, knowing that you can win, putting the ropes up. Making sure
I think what the NBA probably thinks is the seats that are right by the court cost lots and lots and lots and lots of money. And they
if
probably
you're paying for them, some people get them complimentary tickets.
In general, there's a lot of money vested in the seat, and the person sitting there, you would think, should have some semblance of sense. And
Fair.
I would say, considering every team plays 82 games, and then there's the playoffs and everything there, the amount of games that are being played, the amount of people had the opportunity, relatively speaking, there's a low incident level to the extent of physical confrontation. And so I think in that situation, I don't believe Mr. Haliburton. I think he's lying. I think that he got caught up in the heat of the moment.
He lying. That boy lying. He lying.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's so close. He says he was looking through him. Through him at what? He was so close to him. And he's 7 feet. What was on the other side of the 7-foot dude that you were looking at? You're taunting him and doing whatever. That's
You're
too
looking
much.
through him. You're looking through him. I ain't
You're
looking
looking
at you. I'm
through
looking
him.
through you.
I can see why you would think I was staring at him since both my eyes were pointing in his direction and nothing else was over there.
And he's
But
the
I
only human right there in front of me.
only thing there, I was looking. There was an exit sign beyond his head up there, and I wanted to make sure everybody got out safely. I mean, it's stupid, but Giannis handled it the way that I think was right. Like he went and said something to the man. He didn't do anything that was criminal. And then he left him with the thumbs up and did whatever. The man said he extended his love. Giannis returned the love. Sometimes you need to check the man. Haliburton needs to check his dad and be like, come on, man. Like, stop trying to. There's too many people. LeBron's mama was doing it. I saw one funny joke between somebody was yelling, KD's mom yelled at somebody. It was like, this isn't football. Yeah, and the dude just turned and said, "I love you," and she's like, "I love you too." Like I think it takes two to tango, and I think one person can break the tension really quick and make it pass back. So I think he wisely told the in this analogy the 100-pound gorilla Silverback that he loved him, and I think that broke the ice. I told you you're disrespecting me. I don't know how you can stand with somebody putting their forehead down on your head like that. That's like the ultimate in like just looking down on somebody. But people are heated, man. Giannis is a competitor, man. He makes a lot of money and he wants to win.
He said, and it got a little emotional in the post-game interview because he then recounted his father. It brought him to talk about his father and the lessons and the values and the principles that his father instilled in him. And he talked about, just when you win, you should be humble, right? And he essentially said, being humble in victory, I learned that from my father. So he got a little bit emotional. And then he took a little bit of a jab. He's like, I've won before a championship. They haven't, and they have not. But I'm a little braggadocious. I don't believe you need to be humble in victory because, I get to choose my personality when we win. You get the right to stop me from winning and prevent me from being braggadocious. You don't want me to be braggadocious? Win. But he did have some good points there about humility and Tyrese Haliburton. They say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Has been a bit aggressive. I think in response to him being voted as the most overrated player in the NBA by his peers, he's been a bit aggressive. Some people said he's showing a little bit of light-skinned energy. You know what I mean? Not to take a knock at you light-skinned folk, but I want to take a knock at you light-skinned folk. People say he has some little light-skinned energy. Dare I say Drake, with how he proceeded and behaved and took shots at Dame Lillard and others. So it's not surprising that his dad acted that way. I'll give you last word on it before we get to some more.
I didn't know he won that award. I'd say that would put a little chip on people's shoulder. I don't know if Giannis voted for him to be most overrated, but I think you get there. I am all for celebration. I've always been one like that. When I coach children, I always told them, I want you to celebrate every little success. Do whatever, but celebrate amongst yourselves. I do not believe in your face celebration. That's a trend that's going around now. I don't believe in humiliating your opponent by staring at him, gesturing his way, or doing whatever. I think that's too much. That's just always been my belief. It's going to draw things like somebody walking over and punking you, right? So your dad wants to be tough and get up and stare somebody down and talk trash. And now Giannis is like, all right, let's see if you got any you got a pen to sign that check that your mouth, is written. I don't know. I said I butchered that up. But anyway.
But I knew what you meant.
Butchered it. But you know what I'm saying? Let's see what you want. Since you want to stare me down. I mean, what is staring? I mean, we're men. We're animals first. When you stare an animal in the eye, that's a challenge. Right?
I don't know that you're going to be the first person in the enclosure with the Silverback, so we'll figure out whether or not
we'll find out. We'll find out how tough I'm not, because I'm not going to look him anywhere near his eyes. But they always say, don't look the dog in the eye. The dog will bite you. Don't stare at the tiger. Everyone, it's an animal instinct. When I look you dead in your eye, that's a challenge. And then he walked over and he looked down at the man, let him realize you don't want to smoke. And he didn't do anything to get himself in trouble. It's kind of much of nothing. It's a heat of the moment type thing.
So you're good with it. You're
It's
okay
no
with the
big deal.
bravado.
I don't like what Mr. Haliburton did, but I think it's much. At the end of the day, it's going to be much about nothing. I don't think we need to start. I don't think that is a contributing factor to making changes on the court.
Fair.
Right? I think that the crowd being right there on the court adds to the energy and excitement of the game and do whatever. And they always feel like with that ticket price, they can say something. And sometimes they get punched in the mouth. Sometimes things go bad, but the overwhelming majority of numbers is incident free. Maybe just some trash talking that isn't much. I know they better not do it to Ant-Man though, because he don't play that.
I saw a guy from UFL player.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that? Gets into it with a fan and literally smacks the taste. You like that show about the slap?
No, that's the best show on TV.
It was essentially a slap of the dude, like literally slapped the dude in his face. I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, I don't know what's going to come of it.
I lost you.
But the interaction with the fans, I think the NBA also has a role in this. While we laugh about it because senior Mr. Haliburton, I think he'll be fine if he doesn't go to any of the games. I think, Tyrese Haliburton will go on and continue to play well. But the truth of the matter is that the NBA's got to be very careful about giving access to anyone, whether it be Mr. Haliburton or not, because it just you don't want to do that. And I'll show you the video because it was almost unbelievable. But the interaction between the fans is crazy, right? You just don't want fans being that close. And again, to stick with the analogy of us going in that enclosure with that Silverback, when you're on the court, Giannis has endured a lot this year. His brother not on the sidelines.
They cut his brother?
I think they cut his brother. Don't quote me on that.
Him and Bronny on the same G League?
But he has dealt with the ups and downs of a very rocky season, and here you are in the proverbial enclosure on that man's terrain.
It's well documented he does not like to fish.
Say that again?
It's well documented that he doesn't like to go fishing.
Well documented. I'll show you this, and we're going to move on, man, because this was unbelievable to me. Like, literally unbelievable to me that this happened. UFL player. Yeah, we gotta watch the
new products to what I sell because of the capabilities of
weather.
Every year, my goal is
UFL
to
player,
and then to
after the
double
game,
my income.
I guess he and this particular fan have been going back and forth.
Confrontation at last night's Battlehawks game at the Dome has gone viral. A Battlehawks fan slapped by a Michigan player after the game.
I missed it. He caught him?
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is the video that's being seen all over.
That slap was so sorry.
Samson Nakua slapped the two exchanged words before the slap. UFL says it's aware of the incident. And
my point is this.
He didn't even make the dude put a comma in his sentence. It was so quick.
It was quick. And I think that all of the roles were quickly rediscovered. Like, I do this. Kind of a punk shot, too. But my point is that the NBA's got to be careful because imagine if the Greek Freak at 7 foot, all muscles, they call him the Greek Freak because of his physique and how, looked like somebody drew him. Imagine if he didn't have the restraint and hauled off because he said he didn't even know that was Tyrese Haliburton's dad. Hauled off and smacked that old man. And while all of us would have been taking issue with the Greek Freak, all of us would have been saying, like, how you risk it all for that? Why don't you have a little more restraint? Why don't you have a little more anger management? You got to go get anger management classes. The truth of the matter is that you can't be inside the damn enclosure. Get your ass off the court. That man's upset. He fought 82 games plus another 5 or whatever the series went, and they came up short. He's got to deal with all of the the criticism that comes with losing in the first round. He's got, like, you don't want to mess with the damn Silverback in that situation. Get out the enclosure. The NBA's got to do better. That's my final word on it.
My final word on this is, and everyone wants to know, does the Greek Freak end up with the Lakers next year?
Lakers in 5. I don't know.
Lakers.
But he probably going to end up somewhere. His bravado, you said you didn't have an issue with it. And I think that's the perfect segue to what was my motivation for this particular title. Because we did watch. And you and I differ a bit on how it played out, who's to blame, where the responsibility lies, what could have been done to improve the outcome for Shedeur Sanders, and whose responsibility it was to do those things to improve the outcome for Shedeur Sanders. But this was the motivation for this particular title, because as I think of the concept of collusion, as I think of the very powerful thing that is the NFL ownership, and I pit it against the very powerful image that is Shedeur Sanders, Coach Prime. We don't even call him Deion Sanders anymore. He's Coach Prime. And we talked about Haliburton in the previous segment and the apple not falling far from the tree. Us getting here, a blind man could have seen that we were going to get to this point. When you look at Coach Prime, formerly known as Prime Time, to some, especially the government, known as Deion Sanders.
It's a government name. You'll use his government name on the show?
I'll use the man government name.
Okay.
But he gave us a sign that this was going to happen way back, bro. Check this out. Somewhat unbelievable, just how much it looks as though it's deja vu. Does life imitate art? Does art imitate life? Check this out. This is circa, I think, 1989.
Before it was like 80. I can't remember.
1989. In 1989, we should have known that Shedeur Sanders was going to do something like this because of this.
It looks like you're wearing your signing bonus here. I mean, and plus we can see the nice primetime logo already, or what?
We got sweatsuit started, jacket started, everything. We got it going on. And everybody got on jewelry. Even the baby got a little something. We ready now.
Even the baby has jewelry. Your feelings about going to Atlanta, no doubt it was your first preference.
Definitely. Atlanta or Tampa Bay. And Atlanta chose me, and I'm very pleased with that decision. I can't wait to get to town with Coach Campbell and get with them fans down there and pack them in there.
When Detroit took the other Sanders, I saw a big grin come across your face.
I was so happy. But I was kind of scared. I thought Detroit was going to take me. I would ask for so much money that I had to put me on layaway.
On layaway, huh? No baseball's leverage there, huh?
No.
Come on, baby, let's turn up, huh?
Looks like you're wearing your signing.
I didn't realize how much work he had done on his teeth.
You didn't realize what?
How much work he had done on his teeth.
How much work he done?
His teeth low. Sometimes you forget. Are we they're not blessing us with the views.
Blessing us at all. There we go. Do that thing you did to make us big again. But we can start talking about it while you figure out the ins and outs of it. Why don't we just hop in, bro? Because Deion back in 1989 basically gave us a roadmap. He gave us a glimpse into what this particular draft was going to look like. He gave us a glimpse into the draft process and how he would communicate on behalf of his son. He gave us a glimpse. He talked about the jury, and then you think of legendary with Shedeur Sanders. You look at the couch he's on there with, well, I will tip my hat to, his black agent, but he showed us the autonomy and the power that he had. He was one of the first to go and hire one of the non-mainstream agents and started really that man's career in a black agency. Now you fast forward and he's representing his son. He showed us that being flashy and being unapologetic about it was the way, the roadmap that he took and that he probably would allow for his sons. Fast forward to 2025. But in 1989, the concept of legendary was born. In 1989, the process and having high touch points such that you could dictate where he plays, it was already established. You heard him talk about Detroit, and they'd have had to pay me so much they'd have put me on layaway. Essentially, what he was saying is he didn't want to play for Detroit. So fast forward, and now we got 100 men versus one gorilla, man. On the heels of the collusion charges and settling with Colin Kaepernick, it is very arguable that this reeks of intentional or unintentional, direct or de facto collusion. And when I think of the one gorilla, I'm thinking of the concept that is Coach Prime et al. And family. Young, black, flashy, money in their pocket, unapologetic. I'm in your face. I'm not going to assimilate. I'm not going to change. I'm straight from, in his case, Florida, his son's case, Texas. I'm going to be me.
All right. And me is getting drafted in the 5th round. So you can be me all you want. Right? You can be me all. Every once in a while, you used to do that little mustache thing. They act like you had didn't have no sense. Remember you used to do that little thing? I guarantee you never.
Handlebar mustache, man.
Okay.
Come on, man.
I guarantee you've never been into a job interview with a handlebar mustache with the wax twisting your shit.
I'm not.
I'm just asking a question. You can answer the question. If you can choose, you can plead the 5th, or you can answer the question. Have you ever been in a job interview where you did your stuff like these?
I have not, but, and here's the big but. Here's the big
but.
I
still have the conch. You gave me the conch. And I just asked a question. I gave you a check. I'm going to let you talk. So my thing, so you haven't done it, right? Because in your mind, you didn't think that the people that you're trying to go work for would appreciate that, right?
Fair.
Now, had you had 100%, I don't know what you got, so I'm not trying to call you out. If you had your 100% of the bar exam and you would have graduated valedictorian.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll review all of that. I ain't have none of that on my resume.
You might have go ahead and twist your shit up a little bit, right?
Right.
You may went in there and said, look, it don't matter. So I think what we're doing here is what we're finding out is a lack of self self-understanding of your self-worth. I think Shedeur Sanders is a hell of a quarterback. I think he's going to have a good NFL career. I just don't think he was good enough for what he was trying to do.
And Dad was
the best. Dad was the best. He came out the best, and he was the best. And he's also in a position where you're a cornerback. It's different. You're playing defensive back. It's not like you're the face of the program. I mean, it goes the head coach and the head quarterback are the two faces of the program. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
And so I think part of it is I don't think Shedeur's public persona is really even that bad. I mean, you mentioned Manziel last week. I think Manziel looked way crazier and way worse than you could ever imagine Shedeur looking.
Didn't stop him from going first round.
Okay, well, here's my point. They can the NFL has handled. They've handled Deshaun Watson, all the nastiness he was doing. Not to judge a man's preference, but all the nastiness. Michael Vick got a second chance after he fought the dogs, and nothing is more important to Americans than dogs. He's done all the different things. People can do it. I just think Shedeur Sanders, again, I don't think his public persona is bad. I don't think of him. He doesn't get it. He got the boot put on his Maybach or whatever. But besides that, like he supposedly he doesn't drink. You never hear about him getting arrested. You never hear about him driving 300 miles per hour down the street. You don't hear about those type of things. But what you did hear was when he went into the interview process, I personally think they had a plan. I don't want to get drafted. Go in there.
They being the Sanders clan had a plan.
The Sanders camp, whatever the Sanders camp is, they had a plan. And he's been planting the seed for over a year now. His father has, and he's not going to certain teams he can't play for. He can't do this. He can't do that. I think if he was a little bit better, if he was, 6'5" and whatever, maybe he won a national championship, but just a little better, it would hurt him. I think one of the things that hurt his persona, 3 receivers that he had on his team got drafted. 1 won the Heisman, and 2 went in later rounds. But I think sometimes it hurts you when you're a quarterback. You're considered to have that many weapons. It hurts you a little bit. And I say, yeah, you know what? You were playing with you had 3 monsters on your team, 3 receivers. I didn't even know one of them. I knew Horn was good, but there's a guy who went before Horn.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember.
I know you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. So that could hurt him a little bit. But the bottom line is he went into these interviews. There was rumors. Again, these are all rumors, but the proof is in the fact that he went in the 5th round, that somebody gave him a playbook and wanted him to study the playbook, and he came back in and hadn't studied the playbook at all and was more questioning them on their ability as owners to do something. When you go into an interview like that, you better be the shit that you think you are, or people are going to just roll their eyes. He got drafted. So if it was collusion, and I went back and forth. Last week we did the show, we had the ability to see that he didn't go the first night. And I thought, okay, a little cockiness. I was surprised he didn't go early second. I thought the Raiders would come back and get him, and then they could say that they got Genty and him, steal of the draft. They didn't pick him up. At some point, and Chris Carter, you guys go out there and look at the Chris Carter interview. It's a little too long for us to play for it on the show. He goes into it for a few minutes. I don't completely buy where Chris Carter mentions that they wouldn't be able to keep it a secret because there was collusion against Kaepernick and he won the lawsuit, and that never came out other than the lawsuit. But I will say
he didn't win the lawsuit. They settled.
But my point is, I still think there could be collusion. They could keep a secret. It's not like these guys talk to the Inquirer or TMZ,
Right.
But I will say that the point that Chris Carter said that resonated with me is these guys are too selfish. There are 32 guys who are friends and they want to keep together. Again, Colin Kaepernick was just coming off of a really down year when they blackballed him. So it wasn't like Colin Kaepernick had just was runner-up in the Super Bowl. He had just had a down year, so people could say, all right.
He had a down year, but statistically, he wasn't in the basement his last year.
He wasn't in the basement, but he had lost a lot of weight. He had a surgery or whatever. He wasn't at his best. So it was kind of easier to be tough with him. Because again, Michael Vick, when he came out, they gave him a second chance. What's his name? Deshaun Watson got the biggest contract in the history.
Don't remind me as a Browns fan.
It's ironic that the Browns are the ones that they said we're going to go in. But I have a hard time thinking that every NFL team thought he was a complete first rounder, second rounder, and he got to the 5th round, and somebody didn't flinch and say, I'm going to go get him. It took till the 5th round for somebody to go get him. I think that, he did enough bad stuff. Another thing Chris Carter mentioned that I thought at the time I hadn't mentioned
anything bad yet. You're saying the bad is being unprepared for the interview? Or?
I think that he did such a bad job in the interview process. And I think the interview process is such a big deal. If we look at CJ Stroud, he did terrible on the Wonderlic test, right? Everyone was saying he's a big dummy. He did such a good job in the interview process that everyone overlooked the Wonderlic test. I think when you're an NFL first-round potential quarterback, the face of the program, they need to talk to you and have a good understanding of what's going on. He's in there telling people, hey, you guys are going to have to change your culture. Are you ready for this? I'm going to do that. He said it
at the combine. If you're not drafting someone to change the culture of your franchise, don't draft me. He said it. He said that publicly in front of the cameras at the combine.
Now, that can be interpreted a couple ways.
But again, is confidence criminal?
It depends how you interpret that, and it depends what the follow-up was by that. Because that can mean, to me, I can take that in here and say, if you're not ready to change the culture, I mean, the reason why you pick it early is because you have a bad culture or whatever. But again, it's a lot to say. And I think he just found out that the NFL doesn't think he's good enough to take the baggage. There's a lot of people with a lot worse baggage than he has had at different positions that have come in there with criminal cases, potential felonies, beating up their girlfriends, doing all different things like that, but their talent outweighed it. I just don't think people looked at him as good as everyone thinks he is. He had great stats at Colorado, wasn't a winner. They didn't win any big game. The biggest game they won was against Nebraska, and then Nebraska turned out to not really be good. Or was it TCU? TCU. And then TCU turned out to have a bad year. So they really don't have any real quality wins that he's shown up at. So some will say they're holding the ball a little bit long. It doesn't take much to start dropping, and then you start thinking, all right, the first round went, nobody picked him. I don't really like him, and nobody else likes him either. Either you think he'll be there, or you just don't think that everyone else is looking like he's not that good, right? It's like a fallen stock. But he's in the NFL. It's not like he didn't get picked up. He's in the NFL.
Come on, man. Nah, man. He graded out as the top 2 quarterbacks in the entire draft. Where he was projected to be drafted and where he was actually drafted, there's a difference of $41 million guaranteed money that he will never, ever receive. And so the only question that I have here, sticking to our title, is who's the gorilla and who's the 100 men? And in certain cases, the 100 men is absolutely the 32. I won't say 32 owners. I'll say 32 families. Because they're normally an ownership group, whether it be the family or the business family. But there are a group of people, headlined normally by one person that wears the title owner. But in certain instances, they are the 100 men trying to take down this Goliath, this powerful thing. The gorilla, conceptually, of confidence, bravado. The man has his own freaking logo already. He had a room stage, all white, legendary. And he's got the chains. He does have the flashy remarks and responses. And in some ways, they're the 100 men, the owners. And in other ways, I'd argue that indeed, because of our response to this, Black Twitter, and those who appreciate confidence, your question to me is whether or not I ever walked into an interview with a handlebar mustache. And my answer to you was no. What I was going to say, no, comma, but I damn sure wish I could. No, but in ways, I regret assimilating in certain circumstances because then I got the job, walked into a stuffy professional environment, and everyone looked at me as though I was a problem because I was who I am. Someone who wears bright colored ties. Someone who could wear a tan suit in a professional setting. And so in ways I feel like because I wasn't the Shedeur Sanders in that room, I did myself a disservice. And so I'm a part of the 100 men in ways, right? The 100 men in terms of this one gorilla that we are fighting. We should be fighting the gorilla that you have to assimilate. We should be fighting the gorilla that I got to change who I am in order to get this job. We should be fighting the gorilla that says corporate America forces us to be something that we're not, to code switch in order to have a seat at that table. A good example is this. I got tattoos, but my tattoos stop here. Because once upon a time, it was taboo for you to have any tattoos that would be seen in a professional setting. Well, the rules of the game have changed. They got judges now with sleeves. But I look at my line, my restriction, my limitations, often just like, damn, bro, it's crazy how things change so quickly.
Absolutely.
And so in ways, now as the 100 men, right, fighting this Goliath, this powerful gorilla that is corporate America, that says you have to assimilate, that says you have to be more like them, whoever the them is, less like us. And the us is people with my last name, people that come to my family reunion, people that's at my barbecue, people that's at my my frat meetings. I got to be less like us in order to get the job. And in both situations, the fight is real. I respect Shedeur Sanders et al. And family, Coach Prime, for not assimilating. But I'm also fearful that when you look at the responses, I mean, crazy America's come out in droves. They just happy that this man went in the 5th round. People feel vindicated that he was humbled. He got a slice of humble pie. What the hell that got to do with football? We are letting people that are serial domestic abuse violators into the NFL. Serial drunk drivers. Serial, you name it, involved in real crime. And we don't hold them to the same standard. So I guess what this has forced me to contemplate is, damn, that's how they see us?
See,
somebody with real criminal behavior, convicted, is less dangerous to that league than a young black boy, young black man, they don't call him a boy, a young black man with money in his pocket that was smart enough to create his own logo, that was confident enough to not assimilate, that is confident enough to walk in with a whole bunch of jewelry, that sees himself as an owner at least of his brand and of its legacy, legendary, such that he wouldn't compromise. In ways I'm envious of him. He did walk in the interview with a handlebar mustache, and they did what they did, and he cost himself $41 million. But you look at the jersey sales since the draft, he's in the top 3, and will probably end up number 1 once he has a number. If you look at, because you talked about what he didn't do at Colorado, what he did do, because you said they weren't winning, compared to the previous 20 years, hell yeah, they were winning.
500.
They were 1-11 when he got there.
I get it. Turn around. 500 though. 500 and new team. You can't compare to the past because he had 3 NFL receivers on his team, draft picks that came out.
Some people say he's the reason they were NFL receivers.
Yeah, of course.
If you take something away from him,
I mean, one of them went second in the draft and didn't have any of those issues. That also has his own brand. It also does a lot of different things. But I guess to your point, he came out, dancing. He came out smiling. Everybody likes him. He does what he had to go do. I'm sure he went in the interview and said, I'll do whatever you want. I'll play offense, defense. I'll do whatever you want to go do. I just think at the end of the day, the shield is the gorilla in this situation. And I think Shedeur was one of the first men in, right? He should have let somebody, he was one of the first 10. And he got a limp.
He walked in there with a gold chain too, so he brought some attention to himself.
He was one of the first in to try to attack that shield, and it just didn't go the way he wanted to. But thank God, he still has a chance to fight another day, and he's going to have
$41 million a pour.
Mm-hmm.
$41 million. Come on, Big Flo.
Yeah, he's
bravado should not cost you $41 million.
Yeah, he's gonna catch it. He's gonna catch it. I think I just, again, it comes down to sheer ability. If they thought he was really good enough, now he might have been the number 2 quarterback in the draft, but I think everyone says this is a weak quarterback draft, right?
Yes, I would agree there. The weaker quarterback draft. Yes.
I happened to see on the way home after the draft on the plane the story for what's his name, Elway. That draft had Elway, Marino. It had monsters in that draft. And so I think that he had the leverage of saying, I can go play baseball. If I don't get to choose where I want to go, I can go play baseball. So he still got drafted number 1. But even those guys in the interviews, they kind of faked it. It was interesting to see Deion be as honest as he was on that interview and saying, hey, I didn't want to go to Detroit and I didn't want to go here. Most people don't say that stuff. You say the right things. And I just think that when it comes down to is, hey, this person had a problem and they either drank and drive, or this person had a problem and they had some abuse issues, and we can get them help and counseling. We think they can still play for us. Or this man thinks he's bigger than us. I wanted to figure out if this guy can learn the playbook. He wouldn't show me. We wanted him to do NFL Combine Pro Day. He didn't do it. And he just misplayed his head.
He didn't throw at the combine. He attended. He just didn't throw. Which, come on, bro. Quarterback's been doing that for decades now.
I know that in the NFL's in the NFL's opinion, quarterbacks that were better than him.
Fair. My man Jerry in the building. Yes, handlebar mustache. He too has worn a handlebar mustache, baby. You know what I mean? Regal men, baby. We are regal men. I agree that is probably what some of the owners thought, that he missed. You're mistaking your position, but not all of them. Because the grades showed that some of those same owners, some of those personnel people had a draft grade on him that, okay, if you drop to the second, point made. Drop to the third, point made, very loud and clear. Yeah. But to the fifth, to me, it was more than just sending a message to Shedeur Sanders. This is literally a proverbial 100 men versus one gorilla, because they had to make a point. They had to make a point. One that was screaming loud. One that put Shedeur Sanders and all of the young, a lot of times black, current players that are recipients of those NIL dollars, some cases getting paid more than the damn coach, the coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
So I come to the party with a lot more in my bag of tricks. And it changes the leverage here. To me, the NFL and what they just did in this draft process, when I say they, all the teams that needed quarterbacks but decided that somehow, some way, they weren't going to draft Shedeur Sanders until the 5th round. At that point, you're talking basement bottom prices. And while my team, the Cleveland Browns, I guess, stepped up and drafted him in the 5th round, that's easy, bro. That's disposable. A 5th round draft pick is disposable. So I'm not even giving my team cookie points and credit for that. The 5th round.
Yeah.
To me, it was bigger than Shedeur Sanders. They wanted to send a message that was loud and clear that the Shield, like you said, is the big bad gorilla, and 100 men. You ain't gonna never be able to overcome us. I don't give a damn what kind of money and bravado you have. We are the Shield. And I think that for me now, on the other side of it, because now I'm a part of the gorilla. I'm a part of Black Twitter. I'm a part of the media that's taking issue with the decision. And we have the power of the purse in terms of how we spend our dollars. And that's why I think, truth be told, both in how we buy the jerseys, how we support Shedeur himself, how we support his brand and his logo, how we support his path through his career, is going to show ultimately who has the real power.
I'm going to leave this last analogy. So I know it took you about 35, almost 40 years to grow facial hair. Is that about accurate?
I feel like you're about to get personal.
No, I'm just saying.
It took me a long time, man. Why are you bringing that?
Okay, so now you have a mustache that's very important to you, right?
It is.
And if somebody gave you the position of CEO of your company, you wanted to be the CEO of your company, and say, "Hey, listen, you know what? This is our image for whatever reason. You know, we're going to pay you $10 million a year to be CEO. Would you cut your mustache?"
$10 million to cut my mustache. I'm gonna be a bare-faced, booty-faced dude. I'm taking the $10 million.
So I exaggerated for emphasis. I know nobody would pay you over $9 million to cut the mustache, but I had to exaggerate that extra $1 million just for the story. My point is, if you're going to come in on your interview day and show your ass on the interview, and you're not going to do this, and we need you to be the face of the franchise, and we need you to handle the interviews at the end, and we need you to do certain things, and in exchange for that, remember, and I think this is the thing people annoy me with when they try to call the NFL slavery and some of the things. In exchange for that, we're going to ask you to do some things that's going to be company line guy. And if you don't show me you can give me any company line, any faking, any sort of things for the amount of money we're going to give you, the quarterback position is probably not the one that's going to be for you, because Deion Sanders is a cornerback. They're not going to put the microphone in his face unless he does something great, right? At the end of a game, nobody's interviewing Deion Sanders and saying, hey, man, what happened today? I see you guys did this, that. He's just going to go to the locker room and do whatever, or he can act a clown. No one cares. That quarterback is going to be the one who has to speak up for the team, represent the team, show up at the event, and do the press conference.
Face the franchise, yeah.
And even though I don't think Shedeur's public persona is bad, something that he did during that event made them ignore the fact that he threw 8,000 yards in 2 years and all the different things there, and he's got his number retired, even though his daddy did it. And the fact that his dad's got such a big voice and such a huge popularity, some people just don't want all that stuff coming around. The circus is going to surround it, because next thing you know, Deion's going to say, I need to be the coach. Next thing you know, Deion's going to do this. For everyone who's loving the fact that Deion did so much for Colorado, to a lot of people, that's a sideshow, right? Because again, what he didn't do at Colorado is win a bunch of championships. What he didn't do at Colorado, he's turning the program around. He's doing a great job, and they're in a better shape than they were for sure now than when they got it. But it's not like for a lot of people, they don't want all that circusry. Like New York, that's one team that never had a black quarterback. I think you told me he's never had a black quarterback.
Yeah, never had a starting black quarterback. But even that, I think Tyrod Taylor did. So there's something specific about race and quarterback from New York. But.
So there's something there. That's a hell of a market, right? That's a hell of a market. It's the biggest market in the country is New York, right? And if we're going to bring you in here, and then we've got Deion Sanders in here, and he's doing all the different stuff there, whatever, some people just don't want that smoke, man. They don't want it. Now, Cleveland is in no position to worry about smoke. So they said, hey, they were. I just read an article. They were trying to go in the forefront to get him because they couldn't believe he slipped that far, which kind of goes against in the face of collusion. So, again, at the end of the day, I hope Shedeur Sanders does very well. I hope he proves everybody wrong. I think he's in the wrong place to do that because Cleveland hasn't had a good quarterback since Bernie Kosar, and I don't think it's the quarterback's fault. I think he'll probably play for some other team. One thing Chris Carter mentioned that I thought was important was if, in fact, which I believe, I'm in the camp that believes that he went in there and sabotaged to make sure people wouldn't draft him. I do believe that he made a miscalculation because there's a lot of those guys in that room, in every room he went to, that are going to be with other teams before his career is over, who could remember that day. And that's a shame if he doesn't get drafted or he doesn't get a second chance somewhere because he gets a bad reputation. But I think he's going to have a good career.
I defended, and I'll end with this. I defended the NFL in certain ways when it came to Colin Kaepernick. And when a lot of my friends and family members, colleagues, people that I respect, made a principled decision to turn the TV off. They stopped watching the NFL. I argued on behalf of all the other players and the value that would be taken away and how there was ambiguity because the Respect My Flag community was saying they were turning the TV off as well, is that it didn't make sense. I defended the NFL. I can't do it anymore. I can't defend the NFL on this one because the truth be told, man, is that this young brother didn't do anything wrong. He went, and we talk about Colorado and changing the culture there into a winning culture. We talk about Colorado and their impact on the bottom line from merchandise sales to ticket sales to just visibility and impressions on social media. We're ignoring the fact that they did the same thing. I'll go the four-headed monster with Coach Prime, Travis, Shedeur, and Shiloh. They did the same thing at Jackson State. not only from a program, but also looking at HBCUs as a viable option to get where you want to go in this thing called football. You got to put some respect on his name. And
you're the Heisman Trophy winner. You're the Heisman Trophy winner, number 2 pick in the draft, and a first-round talent at quarterback, and you went to the MEAC and you got to the championship and lost to you went to SWAC and went to the championship and lost the MEAC championship. Not that impressed.
Regardless of the football,
not that impressed.
What I'm saying is that there are things beyond the football, like changing the visibility and the prominence of HBCUs, introducing to the world, honestly, to some parts of the world, what a HBCU is.
Absolutely. Huge.
Changing the concept of I can go to an HBCU, follow a path that gets me to ultimately where I want to go. They deserve some credit. And now this is where I finally had to give up. I can't keep fighting this fight on behalf of the NFL. I had the benefit of playing in Green Bay and playing with Brett Favre. And Brett Favre was at that point in his career, very full of himself, very cocky, very confident, and he had a right to be. So much so that in the second practice, he would just leave and go play golf. He had a steakhouse in his name. He did some things towards the end of his career, the Jets in Minnesota, that showed some of that. He's done some things post-career that has shown some of that. There is a Netflix documentary celebrating Brett Favre, and I just don't know what Shedeur Sanders did to lose $41 million worth of value that I could justify. And here's the kicker, and this is where I might say that Shedeur is legendary. Because at 48, you're right. I would not go into a job interview with my twisted handlebars. But what Shedeur and others like Shedeur has shown us is no matter how well you play their game, no matter how good you are dancing their dance, we are still at a point where they look at us as a threat because of our confidence. The same confidence that all the owners have. No one would describe Jerry Jones as a meek, humble person. We don't. But yet when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, that was a prerequisite to go play a position that requires you to be confident, that requires you to take chances, they were very strategic in getting to where they are. And the NFL, by way of its owners, by way of its decision makers, decided to put him in his place. And by putting him in his place, in a way, and this is where I don't know if I'm the gorilla or the 100 men in this case, but in a way, right, I'm taking from that, tried to put all of us in our place. So kudos to Coach Prime, kudos to the Sanders team, kudos to Shedeur, because he did something that even I, with my education and my accomplishments, have been unwilling to do, as you described in those interviews. He did something that was, I think, legendary. TR. His logo and all of that, my bad, I'll let you go. No, I'll let you say what you're going to say. What he did was he showed that he believes in ownership. What he did was he showed that he doesn't believe he's an employee. What he did was, and what Coach Prime has done, and who knew that that's what we were looking at with a Jerry curl. Then his teeth weren't so good. The rope chains, the bravado. What he did in 1989 is he showed us, and a bunch of supplemental activity after that, he supplemented with a whole bunch of activity by way of his kids. What he showed us is he too is an owner. Shedeur Sanders walked in that interview like an owner. And yes, he needed a seat at the table in order to play. But you talked about my Cleveland Browns. Oh, yeah, we were surprised he was there for the 4th round. Then why did you take Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd when he was there? Miss me, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. You were so shocked that he was there that you took Dylan Gabriel that you didn't have graded higher than Shedeur Sanders, that no draft expert had graded higher than Shedeur Sanders. You were so shocked, and the value is so good that you went and took Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd. And that's my team, but I ain't going to let you pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. And that's where I feel that we are with Shedeur, man. The 100 men versus the gorilla. They colluded on that man. And I'm praying because it seems as though he is taking it in stride. He was talking to grade school kids in Cleveland as early as yesterday. I think he has set himself up. If you look at the jersey sales, that he has set himself up to finally show just how powerful that gorilla can be when he says, hell no, I'm not an employee. I'm an owner.
Okay. God bless the church. So, TR, man, first of all, thanks for listening, and thank you for all the comments. We're trying to read through them. Bobby's left the one up there. He said, answer this. How can you say the interview was horrible and provide no proof? I said, there's lots of proof. He went in the 5th round. What other proof do you need?
I think evidence of the actual interview. Show the tape. That's what he said.
And I'm saying, you don't need any proof. He went in the 5th round. Why else did he go in the 5th round? That's all the proof you need. It wasn't because they don't like black quarterbacks. First quarterback taken was black, right? There's more black quarterbacks in the NFL than white quarterbacks starting now.
Cam Ward is black, and just add context. And in their exchange, in one of their workout videos, he's saying, when you look me up, it's going to say American football. I play football. So that's what we got to do to be the number 1 pick. And I like Cam Ward. So this ain't a Cam Ward attack. We got to be so committed to your structure of being an employee to go play football that we can't go and be owners.
That's you crab barreling, man. And he's in your bucket too.
I love Cam Ward.
I'm just saying, why are you trying to make him sound like an idiot? And all he said was, I don't want to do a fucking rap video with you, man. I want to be a football player. That's what I do for fun. I'm not sidetracked like you. Cam Ward got the same shit Shedeur wanted. He didn't sell the same amount of jerseys. He didn't do whatever. His ass knows he went from 0 stars to incarnate word, 1,000 yards passing in high school, 10 passes a game. Then he went to Washington. Then he got a bag and went to Miami. And now he's the first pick in the draft. Yep. Mission accomplished. So don't clown him and make him sound like he's some sort. You kind of making his voice. That's not how his voice sounds. He doesn't sound like that.
Whatever his voice was, quarterback. The content of what he said.
I don't like the way you mimicked him. That shit sounded like you were throwing shade to me.
I'm quoting you. If quoting him is throwing shade, okay.
You changed your voice. I'll play football. I'll do this.
Yeah.
No, and listen, when you talk about how I talk and you're not trying to save me, don't make me sound like a fucking idiot.
Put it in whatever voice you want. You can put Mickey Mouse voice on it. Put Alexa's voice on it. The content of his comment, quote, was when you look me up, I wanted to say American football.
Yeah.
That's what it said.
Fine.
And guess what? That's what owners love. Is that someone that has pigeonholed himself into a place where when you look me up, when you think of me, what I do, who I am, my identity is American football. Verse in that very simple, and it was a light exchange between those two friends, verse someone who said, we can do this, we can do that, we don't have to be limited to football. That's what it was.
Okay.
And he got to be number 1 pick.
Have you ever got interviewed for a job and they ask you this silly question? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You ever ask that question?
Yes. And I give the rope. This ain't about me because I have been a robot.
Don't do that. I
give the robotic answer that is going to
Why do you give the robotic answer?
Because I have not had the wherewithal.
Because you want the fucking job. That's why you do it. Fair. Because you want the job. And when you're interviewing for a job, everybody who put their name in that draft wanted their name to be called first. They wanted to do their one and only hug to the commissioner before they decide they hate his guts. They wanted to walk out and slap the sign. They wanted to do all that stuff. And you do whatever. It's called macking. It's pimping. It's whatever you want to do it. You do what you do. And if Shedeur feels that what he did was whatever. So there was a story I saw this the other day, and I'm going to make an analogy. It's a little bit of a leap. Some guy killed this woman's daughter, right? Mm-hmm. And then was laughing in court and clowning her in court or whatever. And then he got out like 10 years later. And the lady went to the bar. She put gasoline on him and set him on fire and burnt his ass up, right? Mm-hmm. And she's going to go to jail for 5 years. Now, we can go morality about whether it's right. I don't have a problem with what she did, right? She burnt his ass up. But with that comes consequences. She's going to go to jail for 5 years. And I think she probably thinks it's worth it. She probably doesn't regret it because you killed my baby. So what I'm saying is Shedeur has a great brand. He's selling jerseys, driving Maybachs. He's got plenty of money from his NIL. And I think that he went into there and he represented himself the way that he wanted to. We really aren't hearing too much negativity from, unless, correct me if I'm wrong, Dion or Shedeur on his draft.
They have taken a very godly approach.
Very, very well, right? They've done it very well. And I think if he feels he stood true to himself and the market spoke and that's what they're going to do, and he's going to go in there and earn it the right way and he lost some money, he's still going to be fine. The guy is very intelligent. He's very, I think, to general population, a very likable guy, a good-looking kid. I think he's going to have a lot of pride. He's going to be fine, but that's the price you pay. So if
$41 million,
Cam Ward, I'm just saying, you can't have it both ways. So Cam Ward said the shit that gets you drafted first by saying, it's 5 years from now, I see myself at this company doing this job, doing this. You're hired. If I say 5 years from now, man, I hope to be retired. I hope to buy enough property that I can quit. I don't want to work here for more than 2 years. This is a stepping stone. They're not going to hire me. I kept it real. I was true to myself, and that's really what it is. That person, Cam Ward, might come out with the rap album tomorrow. But he knew that talking about rap albums was not the right time, in his opinion, for what he wanted to accomplish. It wasn't the right time to talk about doing a single with Shedeur Sanders. It was the right time to say, when I die, I wanted to say, here lies a quarterback. Because that's what people want to hear. And that's where he's trying to get the job. So I don't fault Shedeur. If Shedeur is not upset with where he's at, then I don't fault Shedeur. If Shedeur is like, damn, I can't believe I'm not the second round pick, I say you made some bad decisions. That's the end of the day. But you can't do what you want and get what other people don't, and people give you what you want just because you think you did enough. They are hiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are the gorilla. They're the ones that they're 10 times stronger than you. You got to figure out your strategy on how you're going to get in there and survive and still do what you want. There's been many people before him that had clothing brands, many people that have had rap brands, many people that went in there that were way worse than he was in certain situations, but he misread the room.
Fair.
And the proof is in the draft pick.
I would argue that we will know who the gorilla is at some point. I think that Shedeur has inspired an entire population of young people. I ain't going to make it about race. Young people that are unapologetic, young athletes that are coming out with a lot more leverage, a lot more money in the bank, a lot more confidence, a lot more autonomy such that they don't need that job. And I agree with you that Shedeur doesn't necessarily need that job. Right? I think it's to be determined who the gorilla is. And your example, hypothetical in terms of me in that job interview setting, I'm one of them that I have subscribed to this notion because that's the life that I live. And I'm hoping that through Shedeur, this is where I think him thinking and operating and moving like an owner is going to be transformational. And dare I say, legendary for other young athletes. And I hope my sons take a page out of that book because it's a lesson I can't teach them. When we were playing, our eligibility and the restrictions there too put us in a very different category. And it was obvious who the gorilla was. The institutions in the NCAA had us by the you-know-what because it wasn't much that we could do. And in fact, they told us that we couldn't work or we would lose the little bit of doggone candy that they allowed us to have. The crumbs that they let fall off the table, we would lose those if we decided to try to better ourselves and make some money. So I'm hoping that Shedeur is the beginning of a whole new pathway towards success. And I love that it started in 1989 with Coach Prime. I'm wishing him nothing but the best. I love that people like our guy TR says he's going to support him. He's going through his website to buy the merchandise. We might be seeing the beginning of something new. And the roles of gorilla versus 100 men might be switching. And I'm gone. But I did want to point out that there's a group of detractors who weren't so happy. Evidenced by the prank. Evidenced by the prank. Because the Atlanta Falcons brand new defense coordinator, his son was the perpetrator in that prank. Got the number, which Shedeur said was a number that he had just come up with, I guess a burner phone for the draft. It was discovered. I don't know how stupid you could be to be in the video, but it was discovered and then admitted to by the Atlanta Falcons. They find him and have taken the proper steps. But what that young man represented in that prank, and in this concept of 100 men versus the gorilla, that was the 100 men too versus the gorilla of that bravado. versus the gorilla of that confidence, the gorilla of the face of, dare I say, pop culture. He was straight up hip hop culture with the gold chains. And here's a undergrad at college with hopefully a whole bunch of other stuff to do with it, found it within his obligation to go prank this man.
I never understand that type of stuff either, man. I mean,
hey, you understand.
I like to talk. You know me. I talk shit. But like when you're dealing with somebody's like hopes and dreams and what's going on, like don't mess with people's religion, family, their woman. Like there's certain levels. This man is out here waiting to get his name called, and you think it'd be funny just to get.
I think they both pranked him. The little kid pranked him, and dare I say, that group of freaking owners pranked him because that little kid was like, "You're gonna have to wait." And the Cleveland Browns saying, "Oh man, we couldn't believe he dropped."
They got a couple guys too, right?
We were trying to get him in the fourth. Shut up! You drafted a quarterback in the third. It was a prank. The whole situation was a prank. That boy should have went way higher in the damn fifth round. We all know it.
For sure.
Anyway, I digress.
I think the biggest prank that the NFL played on him is he gets to play in Cleveland.
You said
that. If nothing else humbled you, I don't care if he was the first round pick.
Y'all stink too.
I didn't say it's not mutually exclusive, buddy.
You're gonna laugh at me with your team.
More than one team. If you were a quarterback, though, can you think of a team in the NFL besides the Bears and Cleveland?
We've had 40. Cleveland Browns have had 40 starting quarterbacks since they came back as the new Browns since 1999. 40. So the fact that we got 5 in the quarterback room right now, that's just par for the course.
So, hey, Shedeur, joke's on you, Jack. Joke is on you, Jack. You're the 5th quarterback in Cleveland.
I think you're the 4th. I think you put him over Deshaun. We'll get rid of Deshaun for
Deshaun got 2 bad Achilles.
Deshaun
got 2 bad Achilles. He's in trouble. But so that if nothing makes you regret your actions more, it's the fact that you're in Cleveland.
Do you think that they should have been fined more? The coordinator himself, I think, was fined $100K, and the Falcons were fined $350K. You think they should have been fined more for the prank?
I think they should give the money to Shedeur to make up for some of his lost wages, but that's about right. It's still a joke. It's not.
Get Shedeur the bread.
Get Shedeur the bread. Make up for a couple picks, but I don't know. It really bothers me. I don't like the fact that I don't think anyone should get fired, but I don't like the fact that the kid was able. Did the kid steal the number from his dad, or what happened?
He claims that the dad left his iPad open and it had the information there. What I didn't like in this episode of 100 Men vs. One Gorilla is that all these other frat boys, and of course the kid goes to Ole Miss, all these other frat boys. And, you know, I can do a voice impersonation for them, too, if you like, since you didn't like my voice impersonation of Camp Ward.
If you're insulting them, go ahead. But now, don't mimic a voice and try to claim you're not insulting them. That's insulting.
Well, the voice is something like, dude, did you see the prank, dude? I can hear the voice.
But that's good because these guys suck.
They suck. And all of these frat boys in this 100 Men versus One Gorilla, they really felt vindicated. They felt like they had really done something, man. We got him. They got a good laugh off of it. So emboldened that you post a damn video with you in it, you damn clown. And all these guys are celebrating. If you look at people responding to the damn fine, oh, man, take a joke. It's not that big of a deal. You're reading these comments, and I'm thinking that literally,
I hope that dad
is a confident young black man with money in his pocket has been put out there and depicted as the gorilla. Because these dudes think that's way too powerful in this America, and the frat boys had to show them. Ain't you got something else to do? Like plan a party, man. You on a college campus in the SEC, dog. Go have fun. Party campus.
I really hope that the dad takes the $100,000 out of Buddy's college fund. That would be the best. Hey, man, everybody got jokes. I hope you went viral.
Oh, he definitely went viral.
Yeah, good. I hope that you went viral and you were able to monetize that prank because it's coming out your college fund.
Give it back to me.
Maybe
Let's go
Dr.
home
Daddy
with a
fired.
few quick topics, man. Lightning round. Been a great show. This is the 100 Men versus one Gorilla episode. If you're just tuning in, please weigh in this crazy social media phenomenon, this depiction of 100 men versus one gorilla. Who you got winning? Tell us why. But in our version of it, because it's the Ball Hawk Sports Talk where sports, business, entertainment collide, and we do it one way and one way only, rough, rugged, and raw. Each one of these stories throughout the week has its own version of 100 men versus one gorilla. There's another story of sports, business, and entertainment this week. Because this dude that they call Ant-Man. Oh yeah, you knew it was coming.
Now we got to bring
at least I did it lightning round. I ain't gonna be labored. It's lightning round. The Ant-Man can. After sending KD home last year, I guess KD was the gorilla, 100 men, all the new guard, the young guys trying to get him off the mountaintop. Ant-Man sent him home. And now
Gobert sent him home. Rudy Gobert sent him home. That's what
Ant-Man got his gorilla fingerprints all over that because he was the gorilla in this doggone case.
I'm busy now. I'm busy.
But he sent home LeBron James in the first round. Gentlemen Sweeps 4-1. Is the Ant-Man the gorilla killer? Is he by himself the 100 men? And then afterwards, he switched hats quickly. He then became the gorilla because he walked around their arena, bopping, two-stepping. I'm talking about he two-stepping, walk around their arena, and they asking him questions about what just happened. And he said, he looked the camera right in his face. He said, in this movie, Morris Chestnut dies. He wanted you to know, baby.
I can't listen to any more of that shit. I don't know about you guys. I can't listen to no more of that shit. So I don't know what y'all want to talk about. If you guys want to write in, what you like to talk about? If you guys like talking about something else, I don't want to talk about that.
So maybe you put me on camera. That's messed
up. I don't talk about it.
He sent him home. The Ant-Man can. And now he's waiting on Steph Curry. Steph Curry got another hurdle to overcome because they ain't out the woodworks yet. But he waiting. He out there licking his fingers. If I can put on my resume, you talk about getting the job. If I could put on my resume as the ultimate killer, I sent KD home. I sent LeBron James on who? LeBron James. And I sent
Austin. He was fighting.
Ant-Man for president. Come on, Ant-Man. Just do it, baby. I find myself cheering for the T-Wolves out of my Miami Heat or got their feet on the beach sand. Let's go, Ant-Man. Let's see what we can do. Great series. Does this, yes or no, does this hurt LeBron's legacy more, or does this hurt our true evaluation of who Luka is as a superstar? And be honest, be objective. I know you're a LeBron dude, but a gentleman's sweep in the first round and you're the 3 seed, you lose to the 6 seed. Now, it's a very competitive Western Conference. So the difference between 3 and 6 was a blink of an eye. But at the end of the day, when the stories are told, the 3 seed lost to the 6 seed.
In 5.
Who's it hurt?
So I think LeBron is like Benjamin Buttons. He looks like he's LeBron with early days of Cleveland, where he doesn't have any help. What did he have? 39?
I think he had 39 in that game. But the challenge is what everyone else does. They take certain parts of it. He was a bit pedestrian in the fourth quarter. And here, I'm going to throw one else in there.
Tired, man. It was tired.
JJ Redick is the first coach in playoff history to ever start the same 5 people in an entire half, the second half of game 4. He's the only one that's ever done that. And instead of being
what do you mean start? Oh, you mean leave him in the whole game?
He was unapologetic about it.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I think you said that wrong. What do you mean start him? You mean leave him in the whole time?
Meaning, yes, he made no lineup changes for an entire half in game 4, which led to them looking very tired. And then an elimination game in game 5, they did not seem to have the legs to finish it. They were up 10 and lost that game. So JJ Redick gets thrown in the fire too. But the Ant-Man is the gorilla here, baby. Sent them all home. So I pit two things versus one another. The stain on LeBron's legacy or the stain on the current valuation of who we see Luka as or see him in terms of his superstardom. And can you win a championship with him? I'm going to throw a third thing in there. JJ Redick with a grand total of 0 years of head coach experience got the job because of the relationship of largely, or I would say, arguably because of his relationship with LeBron, because of his cerebral nature on TV and in podcasts. But is he unqualified for the damn job?
If LeBron's trying to be Mike, he is out-miking Mike at being a GM. Because Mike was a horrible GM, and LeBron is right there with him. And I just think I don't know what it is. LeBron never was coach. I mean, Spoelstra turned out to be a good coach. I don't know if you want to say he was a great coach when he had LeBron, but let's just give him he was at least a good coach. And they won some championships. I don't know why LeBron. It's like he must be like somebody wants to coach him, right? I don't know who the great NBA coaches are that are left.
I coach and call me. I'll do it.
Call me. I might even shave my mustache. But like, I don't even know who the good coaches are anymore. I feel like the great coaches are retiring, and there hasn't been anybody who's just stood out as unbelievable. Proof being that every time someone wins a championship, they get fired 2 days later. So the NBA doesn't have a lot of regard for coaching. You know, Monty Williams was coach of the year, gets fired. Milwaukee coach wins a championship, gets fired. 4 of the last 6 championship coaches got fired. So I don't even know who's a good coach anymore. So I don't know what's going on. That could be a whole show in and of itself. Where are the Phil Jacksons of the world? Where are the Popoviches of the world? Where are all the people that
shout out to Popovich? Popovich officially retired today, man. Shout out to Popovich. Yeah, man.
I just feel like there's no good coaches anymore in the NBA. So it's this AAU style. Just put enough players together and let them play. But I will say it does hurt me with the legacy for LeBron that he's going to take this stain. You had 39 points in the last game and you lose. Yeah. I think Luka. I think the only person real happy here besides you is what's the guy's name that we had the 2 shows against him? The guy down in Dallas. He's got to be so excited right now.
Check that. LeBron had 22 points.
Nah, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a game.
Points.
I was only off by
28. Rui had 23. LeBron James had 22.
So he didn't play great either. But I mean, I don't know. You know what, LeBron, you're getting old. I say you keep playing until you can't play anymore, but your championship days are probably completely over.
Without a single additional championship, we can have this conversation on a different show. But I'd love to finally try to say what that means for legacy. We won't do it today. Today, I want to also celebrate the other gorilla. There was another gorilla who beat 100 men. He went to Detroit. I'm talking about I've called him Mighty Mouse. I've called him Splinter, the Rat. I've called him all these names because of his short stature. But Jalen Brunson is a stone cold killer. They was calling him Flopper in Detroit. Detroit been waiting for this opportunity to be relevant again. The Pistons, the city was on fire. They had a lot of momentum. In 6 games, the total point difference in 6 games, although Detroit lost 4-2, the total point difference was 15 points. Shout out to Detroit. They're going to be a great team, something to be reckoned with. But you got to give props to Jalen Brunson. I'm on this group chat with all my homeboys in the neighborhood here in New Jersey. They're all Knicks fans. And I had to at least tip my hat to them last night and say congratulations. As a Miami Heat fan, that was very difficult to do. Jalen Brunson is that gorilla, dare I say. He won't lose. That 3-pointer that he took, the ability to get against a phenomenal defender was nothing legendary. It's legendary to borrow a phrase from Shedeur Sanders. The move was legendary. The shot was legendary. A walk-off, get out of here game. They had another chance, but they fumbled it away literally.
Fumbled the bag. It's a terrible way to finish the season. To fumble the bag like that.
Fumble the bag. Shout out to Jalen Brunson, though, man. Big fist up to you. Let's go home quickly with, I'll at least say the Clippers, they forced a game 7. Kawhi Leonard is drinking from the fountain of youth. He's playing out of his mind. James Harden played out of his mind. Zubac played out of his mind. Even Badu, however you say his name, the Frenchman, played out of his mind. Yeah. Going to be a great series. Game 7, the 2 most exciting words in all the sports. And also business and entertainment, because everybody's going to watch that game as the only game on tomorrow. It's Game 7. Game 7. Here we go. Clippers, Nuggets, in Denver. Mile High.
That's a game.
Game 7. Who you got winning that one?
Clippers.
I got the Clippers too. But
I think that I like your man covering. He's the Joker, kryptonite for Joker.
He's his own gorilla though.
They went out a GM of the year. You got to say Clippers. Did they have him last year?
The GM,
the guy that's covering Joker, the guy.
Yeah, they did. I think he's playing significantly better, but
they're so smart. They went and got somebody, because I think part of Joker, he's just got a game we're not used to. This guy grew up with them, played with them, plays on the national team. He D's him up. Now Joker still doesn't, but he D's him up. I don't see anyone who's ever one-on-one effective against Joker. Joker killed Anthony Davis. Couldn't do nothing with him. This dude gives Joker fits.
He does.
I love it. I love it. And I fear. Well, now that the Lakers are out, I don't really care who wins. But I fear Joker.
Don't be like that. Don't take your ball and go home.
No, I'm enjoying. I can sit back and just enjoy it. This is the best playoffs in years.
You don't have a dog in the fight.
Now that I don't have a dog in the fight, I don't care if Joker wins. I'm not mad because I didn't think the Lakers could mess with him.
How about, so you got the Clippers winning? We both agree there. Golden State has to try to knock off that young, vibrant Houston team tonight in Golden State in Game 6.
I'll take Golden State.
You taking Golden State to win it? It's an elimination game for Houston. They did fight themselves off the ropes in a meaningful way. They beat the brakes off of Golden State in game number 5. But Steve Kerr called the dogs off early, like in the third quarter. So we'll see. But I'm going.
They call that rope-a-dope.
Rope-a-dope. Tie yourself out, boy. Watch what happen to you. 100 men versus 1 gorilla. Last topic of the day is name, image, and likeness. And in a way, it's circular. It brings us right back to Shedeur Sanders and the transfer portal. Bring us right back to Shedeur Sanders and the idea and the concept of the 100 men and the gorilla. For us, we were the 100 men when the world of amateurism was truly a bunch of amateurs, unpaid, in a lot of ways unprotected, with very little to no leverage, holding on by life support when it came to the few fringe benefits that we got that were monetary. Y'all boys, I heard, not me, I heard y'all boys used to steal bicycles on campus, used to steal coupons. I heard y'all boys, I heard some things about y'all boys.
Oh, what boy? I don't know what the hell you talking about. I was in church.
Love don't fit.
I was in class, church, or practice. That's all you can tell me when I was in Notre Dame. Class, church, or practice.
I heard once upon a time that they had a whole criminal ring of people allegedly selling free tickets to games. I heard these things. I read about them. And now the things that we as a generation, not we as in actually subscribed to it and did it, but that generation, we thought we was doing something. Man, these dudes getting paid
millions. Giving tickets away. You get a ticket. You get a ticket.
And now all of a sudden, the gorilla is the person with the money. The 100 men are the institutions trying to figure out how to regulate it and prevent it from being a free-for-all. The 100 men are the coaches who have to recruit and then re-recruit the same person because of tortious interference with contracts, dare I say, or people just picking up the phone and saying, yo, man, I got more of a bag over here. It is interesting to watch the musical chairs and how the roles have reversed. The 100 men versus one gorilla, the combination of name, image, and likeness, the windfall of money there, the transfer portal that is not limited, that gives them the wherewithal, does not restrict their eligibility, the additional eligibility. Man, this is fun to watch. Some of these young people, my heroes. That's what I was trying to say with Shedeur and Ways, man. I'm looking up to these brothers and sisters. These college athletes are heroes. Go get it. Break your boy off something if you don't mind, because I sure didn't get it. Man, I ain't getting none of it. Let's get out of here. Is there anything you want to go home with? Ball Hog Spotlight moment, 100 men versus one gorilla episode. This has been dope. Let's put a bow on it. Anything you want to go home with? Sports, business, entertainment, Ball Hog Spotlight moment. The ball is half court. We need a shot. We need a point to win it. Everybody in the arena knows you're going to shoot the ball. Anything you want to go home with?
I'm going to give a shout out to our boy Parnell. Parnell's
P-Funk.
P-Funk's in the house.
PSP Sports. What is his podcast?
I don't know. But
I think it's PSP Sports. Parnell St. Pro.
He just crossed 100,000 subscribers.
Go get it, P.
Peace, was our intern, and now he is out there doing great things in the podcast world. So I want to shout out Pernell. That's my spotlight moment.
Y'all make sure y'all go follow it. I wish I had a link to just give it to you, but I think it's PSP Sports. He does a collaboration with some other podcasters. They got some dope content. Good brother told me a long time ago the reason he started interning with us. He said he wanted to get into this space. And he's doing it and doing it big. Keep up the good work. My Ball Hog Spotlight moment is this. I'm going AAU basketball, man. For all of you out there that's in this AAU space, I know every weekend you are going here, there, and everywhere, spending a whole bunch of money. Just make sure that you cherish the things that really matter, which is the road trip, having a conversation with your son or your daughter, the meals that you got to have, the laughter that you guys are having together, because when it's all said and done, as I am getting dangerously close to the end of youth sports with one of my sons, that's all that matters. Keep on weighing in. Who gets the dub? 100 men versus one gorilla. We were the gorilla. We were the 100 men. Any and everything, all the above. Because that's what we are, the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We do it one way and one way only, rough, rugged, and raw. We are asking you humbly, kindly. We are asking you, please like, please comment, please share, please tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone you know, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. This has been a dope show. My man from the Middle Coast, the Big Flow Show, does what he does. Did what he does, rather, and delivering some amazing content. While we never agree, we don't argue. We do disagree, but we always do it with the right spirit, and that is to bring you good content. So help us out and make sure this content gets in someone else's fingertips. Like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone you know, subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. I'm your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mountain South, a.k.a. Mr. Accessible, a.k.a. Breezy, a.k.a. Coach Bobby, a.k.a. Councilman Brown. This has been the 100 Men versus one Gorilla episode of the Ball Hog Sports Talk. It is yours to keep. We hope to see you next week. And with that, enjoy your weekend. Be blessed. Be safe. We is out. Peace.